Welcome back. We are here. We're doing it. GPS to God. Daniel Sanders, Stefano Patterson, Brandon Shanks, and Zach Edson. Live and in person. Glad you guys are here. We are excited to be here. GPStogod.com. That's the website. You can check it out. Email us, mailroom@gpstogod.com. If you listened 2 episodes ago, that was a great episode for us. Russell was in rare form.
He was in rare form. Have you watched that one yet, Final?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, he told your story. He said
I did about my books.
That one too.
No,
that's
so
so
we got 2 things to talk about with you.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, he got
He put a little more color on the Drew Maddox and Ron Mercer off the board.
Yeah.
He was so mad at me because he swore up and down that he was a freshman. That's because he was like, I was a freshman. He's like, when you told that story, you made me feel like you made me look bad or something. I was like, dude, I said you were getting back on defense, man. I mean, what are you supposed to do as a sophomore when an NBA lottery pick is behind you?
Run.
I'm like, I gave you respect for getting back on defense.
That's
There
right.
wasn't a plug at you. But,
Oh, man,
but
that's
yeah,
funny.
I don't think his voice was as high as Russell's saying. I think Russell's a little bitter.
I think every time I've heard Russell tell that story, though, he goes high voice.
He does go high
He
voice.
does.
He does go high voice, but yeah.
A little pitch in his voice, but that's okay.
High school days. But yeah, the books thing, I didn't. I was guilty of that. I did do that. Sorry, Mom. Love y'all.
Yeah, that's right.
Love y'all.
Take that out of the Christmas budget this year.
Yeah.
The college hustle.
Yeah. Should have owned up to it. Thank you, Russell, for ratting me out.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
Well, he is not here today, so feel free to return that favor.
I'll take the high road.
I'll
take the high road.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we have we're going to get together here and play a little basketball in a couple of weeks.
We are.
So
We are.
You going? Is
Probably
that where
with
you're going to
this
get
one.
even?
No.
You going to save it till then?
No. I'm too old to hold any kind of grudges in basketball. Those days are
Not worth it.
I'm just trying to survive so I can be able to walk on Sunday.
Sounds to me
that's
like
where I'm at.
he wants Russell on his team. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what,
I want Brother Matt on my team. I've made that clear. Man. Brother Matt's a knockdown.
Sharp shooter lefty.
My goodness.
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, we're. I'm tired already from that game. We still got a week and a half before we play it.
Yeah.
Dude.
But,
It's gonna be fun.
it is going to be fun.
Gonna be fun, we hope.
And Ryan was talking trash about it in the group text.
What else is new?
He was.
I was shaking my head when
That
he was. Yeah, I was like, come on, man.
The youth.
Yeah,
The youth.
He's had all this rest. I mean, he's taking
he is.
he's taking this maternity leave too.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
going all out.
He is getting full advantage of his paternity leave. That is a fact.
No.
I know tomorrow he'll be all about that with that Taco Bell pizza.
All right, so
Oh,
here's
Mexican
the
pizza's
deal.
coming back?
You don't know this.
No, sir, I don't.
Are they
Six-
already out?
September 15th. That's
Is it
tomorrow.
15? Oh, okay.
6:30 this morning. Look at my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Ryan and these 2 knuckleheads.
I come to your defense.
Kind of. So Ryan sends
I didn't say anything about you.
Ryan sends a screenshot of a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell. That's his favorite thing. And he has a Taco Bell app. So it comes out nationwide again
Tomorrow.
September 15th. So by the time you hear this, go try one out if you haven't already.
That's true.
But he has the app, so he gets it early. Right?
Let's
a day or 2
rewind.
early.
Let's just pause right there that he has a
Taco
Taco
Bell.
Bell
Yeah, well.
app. So let's just
Let's
recognize that.
viewers
He's
out
a
there,
youngster.
just recognize,
He's a
acknowledge
youngster.
that, comment, please.
Yes.
My goodness, Ryan. My word.
So 6:30 in the morning, he sends this text out in the group, a picture of it, and I get it early because I'm on the app. He's so excited.
Gosh.
And then with somebody, there's comments going back and forth. One is a comment about me because I had not chimed in, and they're like, Daniel's not getting up this early, needs his beauty sleep, all this stuff.
Okay.
Which I
That's him that said that.
I was
Not me.
awake.
It's not me.
I was not out of bed, and I was awake. But,
Partial truth.
So I ignored it. I was like, I'm not. I actually muted that conversation in case I fell back asleep, but that
True.
That did not happen. But
Right.
couple hours later, I respond.
chimed in,
I
right.
chimed in. And I'm like, if that's the first thing on your mind at 6:30 in the morning, you might need some help.
He might have been up all night though.
He might have been up all night
Yeah,
looking for that.
No, hey, every
Four
time
dudes.
Dude's the most well rested dude. around, man.
Every time I've
Poor
talked to
Dawn.
him, Reagan is, Navy is just the best. Sleeps all night. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you got it made, man.
Never seen her awake, even in pictures.
Well, I saw him tonight. She wasn't awake.
Yeah.
But he's not here recording a podcast.
No,
we know that.
but-
He's running about town on his paternity leave.
Yeah.
Go and get in line for that Taco Bell Mexican pizza.
Yeah.
For those, and then so later in the day, I respond, and Ryan's reply was something. I don't know how we got into it, but he said, "You know, the great thing is Dawn's off work because of having the baby. She can go out and get some for lunch and bring him home."
My goodness.
Dude.
This move on. This move forward.
Yeah.
Right. For those that don't know, Ryan works at home, so he had to stay home and work.
Unbelievable.
Send his recently just gave birth wife out to pick lunch up at Taco
For him.
Bell. For him.
Yeah, for him.
For him.
All righty. It's time to move on.
Yeah, that's a solid 2 minutes of Ryan bashing.
Yeah, well, enough of
We've
this.
hit our quota.
We have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
For sure.
Taco Bell app. My word.
That's awesome.
So, anybody want Mexican pizza for lunch tomorrow? We can-
We'll get Dawn to go get it for us.
Get Ryan to put it in his cart.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dawn might deliver it if we offer to pay for it. And hey, we'll give you an hour away from the baby. You can go take a nap or
Or
whatever.
away from Ryan, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Instead of Uber Eats, it'll be Dawn Eats.
Ooh, all right. We love you guys, though.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, that's for sure.
Baby Navy. That's how I remember her name. Because I got to say the rhyme, Baby Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I have an issue with names.
Mm.
I don't call people by their name a lot because I don't want to call them by the wrong name. And it's an insecurity on my part.
Sure.
Really, it has nothing to do with them. But the truth of the matter is, man, we go from bashing Ryan to counseling with Daniel here. But
Okay. You want to
I wanna go
dim the
back to-
lights,
It's a new-
dim the lights
yeah,
down
new
a little
segment
bit.
here.
You want to
Yeah.
confess?
I want to, I confess. I want to go back to bashing Ryan. It's a much more fun
Oh,
segment.
for sure.
But I don't put a lot of effort into learning people's names until I know I'm going to see them somewhat frequently.
Got you.
And so that's just a built-in excuse for me to be lazy and not learn people's names, to be honest.
I'm not good with it, so I'm just not gonna give it the
Not gonna
effort.
do it at
What
all,
about
right?
that?
Yeah.
What about the time when you have obviously met somebody, they remember your name,
Uh-oh.
and
Oh,
how you
gosh,
doing,
yeah.
Daniel?
Oh, hey,
and
how's it going?
and you're just that
Oh, that's
feeling right there is
You speaking from experience there?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
I'm bad.
happening.
I'm bad
It's
with names,
happening,
too.
and you just stand there and be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
When you know that other person has
Yeah, so in it depends on the situation where I am and all that kind of stuff. But if I think the more excitement I put, I think the more plays out. Hey man, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Then they don't think about it.
Right.
They don't think he doesn't know my name.
you got to overdo it.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
turn it. I got you.
But yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
There was once I was in college. We had a group that played racquetball, and we were in a lab, chemistry lab. I made 100, by the way. That was great. Not so much in the lecture part.
There you
but,
go. 'Cause that's only a quarter of the class. So.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't remember. I don't remember how it was weighted, but I know I did not put much effort into that. This might be a theme here.
No effort.
But we're talking about playing racquetball, and this girl, we had known, her and her lab partner were always right next to me and my lab partner. But I didn't know her name. It was like casual conversation. Hey, how's it going? Talk about the lab stuff, just general chit chat, right? And we were, I don't know, 6 weeks into this class at this time. So she's like, hey, I play racquetball. Can I come play with you guys? I'm like, yeah, come on. We're playing this afternoon. So me and another buddy were playing, and we show up, and before the girl shows up, I'm like, hey, man, when she walks in, introduce yourself, because I have no idea what her name is.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And so, I was like, hoping that TV sitcom reaction, she would introduce herself and I would have take away all the awkwardness. She walked in, he introduced herself, and she told her, and
you didn't catch it.
Well, no, she walked up to me and she's
Yeah,
like, I don't even know your name. I'm like, well, that's a way to be an adult about it right there.
That's
I'm over here plotting.
Yeah.
Yeah, just come out and say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, took me down a notch. Thought I was big time. It's like,
And she didn't know you either.
yeah, she didn't know me. This is some dude I talked to in lab next to me. Yeah.
He got 100, so I'm trying to get in with him.
Yeah,
I didn't know about the
I know it was
100 at
easy.
that point. We were maybe halfway through.
Oh,
so.
okay.
But to me, it was easy because it was step by step in the lab. Do this, this, and this, and just write down your observations. I was like, well, that is.
Yeah, you got this.
Let's make all this hands-on learning. I can handle that. Writing down equations and stuff. That guy. But that was beginner chemistry, and I thought that guy was too smart to be teaching beginner chemistry because he told us like the first day of class, my job in the summers, I work for NASA, and I study comets and asteroids, and I tell NASA what they're made of based off the light that comes off of them.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, you bring where's your assistant? Where's somebody else? You need beginner chemistry, dude. Get out.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Based on last week, Russell would have loved that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
He would have been ready for him. That's for sure.
Did you ever hear back from?
I'm glad y'all brought that up. Yes. So you have about maybe 2 more episodes after this one comes out. I can't remember, 2 or 3 at the most. And the special guest who ghosted us will be back.
What if he goes to you again?
If he ghosts us again, we are going to roast him.
Gotcha.
A roast session.
Yes.
I kind of want him to.
His
maybe.
na-
I mean, I don't know which one I want.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I want.
Yeah.
Want more is for him to be here or for us to
I
roast
think
him.
he will bring a wealth of knowledge and a fun subject. But yeah, I think, man, I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, I hope-
Don't stand us up again.
No.
Don't stand us up again. That'll.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree.
But it'll be fun. So you guys are invited back since you were here. I don't know if I told you that already, but
I ripped up my notes like Russell, so I'm going to have to piece them back together.
I still got the ones I printed. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be fun. So check back here in a couple episodes, maybe 2 episodes after this one. I think this is number 46. This
I was
is
doing so well, but
what we're counting tonight. I think it's
don't know.
46.
I trust you.
Moving right
Whatever
along.
you say.
But had the moms on last week. That was a great episode. These guys have no idea what we're talking about because
That'll be a good one.
hadn't been released yet. as
Tune
we
in on
record
Monday.
this one.
I'll
Tune
watch
in
it.
on Monday. I like
yeah.
you.
Monday at 6.
Like what you're
I'll be on
doing
there.
right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I changed it now from Monday at 5 Central. 5 a.m.
AM?
Central Time. A.m. You can
I got an extra hour. I
when we
can get on
drop the
there.
episode. Yeah, for early risers like you and, guys making the first run to Taco Bell.
Yeah, oh, man.
You got to have
They serve breakfast.
I was going to say, the first time I got breakfast was because Russell took me to Taco Bell for breakfast. I didn't even know that even existed.
Wow.
Did he use his Home Depot credit card?
He did not.
Oh.
He did not have cash that day.
Wow.
Did you ever find out about that?
I did. So we could talk about that. So Lowe's and Home Depot do not have the Visa logo that I mentioned,
Okay.
but Best Buy does. And so there are stores out there, I guess, if they are sponsored by Visa and MasterCard, you can use it anywhere.
And Target does not.
Target does not.
No.
The red card.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
No logo, only in store.
gotcha.
I failed to ask Russell a question I thought of today, I think. How does he normally buy gas? He says he never carries cash and he doesn't have a credit card.
I think he has probably a
Debit left
card.
it somewhere.
Yeah.
See, that's a detail he left out.
Yeah.
And I failed to follow up.
Get Russell to show you his sorry, I won't. Get Russell to show you. Have you seen his wallet?
I've heard stories of his wallet.
It's
I
like a
have not
filing
seen it.
system. It's like
It's
a-
got all kinds of
Yeah.
receipts in it
Yeah,
or
he's
something.
got receipts from
Yeah, that's what I thought.
2001.
I
What's
knew
in
he
his
had
wallet?
receipts and coupons and stuff in there
Yeah.
from, but
Yeah.
I have not seen it. I've heard it's like
Yeah.
a mythical creature. I've
Yeah.
heard tale of it, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Things that come out of there that you just don't expect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of the ink come off of my receipts after a certain amount of time, so I can't imagine
Yeah.
they'd be worth anything.
He did say though,
No,
'cause
they're not.
We talked about putting something in his wallet, and he said, "Well, I wouldn't lose it."
Yeah. Monday Builders is still back in the 19th century.
Oh boy.
But that was a question I thought of today. I was like, "Does Amanda give him an allowance and he uses that to like get.
We're
how
going to have
does
to let
he-
Russell answer this question.
And since we're following up on that episode, Amanda Mundy, Russell's wife, who he told several stories about, she said, I need to come on and refute some of that because all of what he said is not true.
Oh, this ought to be
Sure. Yeah.
So I
This
said,
is
See,
a
this is
good-
where that phone in would come into play. Just call her.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have a live producer with us tonight, or we would try that. We would try that. But
That'll be. I'll have to make sure I get on that.
So all the
episode.
stuff that he was saying, like
he said she
regarding
said some of the stories Russell told about Amanda, he got details wrong, or they were like the stories were just not right.
Sounds like a Christmas episode to me.
Yeah, we're not going to wait till then.
No, it's going to be here before we know it.
Christmas in September. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
Through the magic of editing, since Russell was also talking about my editing and stuff gets cut out that or doesn't get cut out when
he was
I
in
say
rare
it is,
form, but he stepped on a lot of toes, and he's having it's coming to roost tonight.
we
We're getting him back for it tonight.
we told him he had 3 weeks of freedom after
Yeah.
that episode.
Yeah.
We sure did.
Unleash on him,
The
man.
freedom is over.
Yeah,
We sure did.
But
fair game.
through the magic of editing, I'm going to try. I'm going to see if Amanda will take a phone call if we can make that happen. So,
I like it.
viewers, you'll be right around the corner, right about
Now.
now.
That's
Well,
good.
Amanda did not answer the phone, but we just learned another piece. And while we were waiting, what? Go ahead and share that tidbit again. We'll
Russell
just keep
does not
piling
have
on.
an email address. He goes off of Brookster at AOL, I believe. He is-
He's about to get a lot of spam
Russell.
mail now.
Russell, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is 45 years old. Still going off his, Brookster.
I don't know why that's going to shock some people. I mean, if you've seen his phone,
Very
you know his
true.
filing system of his
Very
wallet.
true.
Like,
Very true. Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I didn't. Sometimes I wish I didn't have an email address.
One more piece of business to clear up: the predictions. We made predictions, and so let's
We did.
let's revisit those. Brandon, your prediction was
he
You
went
remember?
2-0.
Big Orange,
Tennessee Vols.
but it would be 2-0, and they are sitting at 2-0,
2-0.
fixing to be 3-0.
and you went to
I
to
did.
their second
I did.
game.
Jackson and I went up there this past weekend, and it was a great experience. Pittsburgh's a great city. We watched a great baseball game on Friday night. Got to see Albert Pujols bat twice. He did ground out twice, but then the very next day he hit a home run, and then he hit a home run on Sunday that we weren't there. But extremely nice ballpark. PNC Park is just beautiful. And then we went to the game on Saturday. Pittsburgh Panther fans are great fans. They treated us no problems. We were sitting right behind the Pittsburgh student section, so we caught a little bit of that during the game, but that's
bit of that.
to be expected.
Exciting
But
game though.
It was a
Back
very
and
exciting
forth
game.
and-
Very exciting. It helps that we knocked out their starting quarterback. That helped out a lot.
And the backup was on one leg.
Yeah, and then the poor backup just took a beating in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
but
he did.
that helps out.
But you also went 2-0 on the Vandy pick. You said they'd be 2-0 too.
He did.
I did. And
Zach called it 1-1 for Vandy.
Yeah.
he did.
I did, and 1-1 for you too.
Yeah.
That was just more of a heart thing.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. That's okay. But no, it was great. It was great. So I'm happy. We're happy the Big Oranges. I can't use the Russell got on. Speaking of Russell, he got on to me for saying we because I don't go there and I've never played there. So, but I'm a huge so. I can't use the word we. So Russell, I'm not going to use that word.
Well, I
so.
think that probably comes from Vandy fans. They never say we. They don't want to be associated.
Yeah, but I wasn't
even
gonna,
though they are Vandy fans, they always say Vandy, whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
I've got a lot of Vandy friends that cheer for Vandy, so I try to, but I do have some Florida Gator fans and Alabama fans, and so, but
You live with Alabama fan, right? Is she an Alabama
Yes,
fan or just her
diehard.
dad?
No, the
No,
whole family.
she's
Whole
Amanda's,
family. And her
yes.
grandparents from there. I've been taking it on the chin for years. Doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
I'll be glad when that train.
I mean, you're wearing Alabama colors.
Oh, well, this is for a different reason. I pay for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you have money invested in that.
And I
Bono
bet you paid for
understands.
that shirt too.
Do
You
understand.
didn't get that free, did
Do
you?
understand.
Actually, The shirt was free.
Oh,
The
okay.
people we
yeah.
bought our house from, their son left there and
Bags
left
of gear.
bags of gear. And so when they moved back to Arkansas, it's like, here.
Oh.
So,
That's good.
see?
All right.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not.
Shocked by that, aren't you?
I am. I want to make a joke, but I'm not because I don't know those people. So
They won't listen.
they
to
will
this.
not listen
Yeah,
to
they
this.
won't.
but
Yeah, they won't listen anyway.
It's We'll move on.
That's for the subscription.
Yes. Yeah. GPSToGuide.com. Sign up for the subscription link. It's not there yet, but if you email us and say you want it, we will create it.
Sure, absolutely.
And on that
Sweet.
same note, while you're on the website, go ahead and donate. There's a donate button. It is active. And
It's
The one
active
thing
and-
active on the
Yeah,
website.
It's active and
it
live.
is active. It is waiting on you right now.
Have you had anybody to
GPSToGuide.com.
donate
Yes.
through the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
We're not going
impressed.
to say a dollar amount because it's low. We need y'all to pick up the pace a little bit, to be honest. We need a little help. But,
Beggars can't be choosy, right?
yeah, I mean,
Very
you know,
true.
if all of you send a nickel,
Have a sack full of nickels.
we'll have a sack full of nickels. But I did test it. So when we got the website and stuff, I was like, is this legit going to work? And
Sent yourself a penny.
a little more than that, but not much. No, but, yeah. But it was because I had to go. I mean, it's not just setting up the website and a button. That button has to go be
sure.
linked
To an
somewhere,
account,
right?
yeah.
So
Sure.
setting up an account and doing a business account, all that kind of stuff, and making it legit. It ain't going to the Sanders family fund. I can tell, no.
Oh, okay.
Sanders
No.
Kitty.
Not
So we do have it is tax deductible. We'll send you receipts and all that kind of stuff.
Getting that plug good.
We have a financial secretary who handles all that for us. We don't. Yeah, we just get updates of here's how much is in your account.
gotcha.
Good.
So it's
Gotcha.
not. We're not taking that slush fund to buy Mexican pizzas.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, Ryan.
yeah. But we'll tell Ryan we did. Be like, hey man, we got a $100 donation through the website, and it was just for Mexican pizzas.
Well, don't
Don't
tell
do it to
Ryan.
her.
You
No,
need
I'm
to
gonna
tell
tell him
Dawn.
it was-
I mean,
Yeah.
she's the.
No, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell him we did it, but it only had to be for like the month of September. You weren't here, so sorry.
Don't do that to him.
Oh, for sure. Come on, man.
But today, I guess we need to, we said we're going to quit bashing Ryan. It might happen, it might not, but
Yeah.
we're going to get a little bit into some parables and coming up with the idea for today. We have guests lined up the next 3 weeks, I think, so that'll be fun. Tune in as long as the one guy doesn't leave us again at the altar. But but we have some guests lined up. So today we're kind of going a different direction. Just some parables, trying to do something a little bit different here. So we all just said, hey, pick a parable, bring it in, and we're going to talk about it. So there is so much, so many great things that, so many great parables that we could talk about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And great ideas, great lessons, all that kind of stuff. But so this may not be our favorite, but it's one that struck us today. So we
Yeah.
all brought one, and we're just going to see where it goes. So
Yeah. Let's do it.
who
Lead
wants
it
to go
off.
first? Me? Oh, why do I have to lead it? I just did a 90-second intro, man. That's giving y'all time to get ready.
I can kick it off then.
Go ahead.
So I chose the parable of the Good Samaritan, and that one kind of hits home to me because I came to know Christ through a homeless man, and I think we do a lot of giving, and it's a reminder to me that you shouldn't necessarily give to those that you know or give to those that are in a like scenario that you're in. That you should give to the least of these, and this is the perfect example of that. And so, I think about. I can go through the parable but I think about how you test Scripture, and the best test is with other Scripture. And so, I was amazed at how many times it talks about how much you should love your neighbor as yourself, and how many. I think I found over 30 scriptures that reference that. And so, for me, that one was one that just rang true, and I got the third pick because you two had already taken two that I had looked at.
Well, before we move on into your scripture, wherever you're going next, I don't know the story of you and the homeless guy.
You don't know my testimony.
I don't know. I know we haven't talked about it on here before.
Okay. Would you like me to?
Can you tell that?
I certainly can. So I was going to MTSU at the time, and me and Amanda were we had been dating a long time because me and Amanda had dated through high school. She was at Vandy, and I was at MTSU, so that's not really like what I would consider long distance relationship, right?
It's about what
30 miles.
30 miles, yeah.
Not long distance, right? And
but it can be a 2-hour drive depending on traffic.
24.
Yes.
Well, 24 wasn't as bad back in the
day. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah,
because the day was much longer for you two.
For sure. It's only like 2 lanes back then.
I mean, I don't even know if it was paved back then.
Well, it took no time to drive there as long as the horse and buggies were out of the way.
That's right.
There we
That's
go.
right.
And so we had really been going down the path of, are we going to get married? And it was very important for Amanda that she marry a godly man. And I just had a lot of questions of, I didn't understand how people could live so long without modern medicine. I didn't understand. There was just a lot of questions that I had, and I was not living right. I was playing cards at all hours of the night. I was in places I shouldn't have been. And one day I was living in Smyrna at the time, and I was driving to MTSU, and it was pouring rain. And I'd passed a homeless guy, and I think the first sign was like, "I will work for food." And then we get closer to campus, and I was at Tennessee Boulevard, and there was another one was just, I don't remember what that second sign said. And I told myself, if I pass another one before I get to MTSU, because there's usually I don't know if I've ever seen homeless men out there. And I told myself, if I pass another one, I'm just going to pick him up. And I had an exam that day. And sure enough, on the corner right across from the Murphy Center, there's another one. I just picked him up, and it's pouring rain. I was driving a Mustang at the time, so he's got all his stuff, and just rain's coming everywhere. And I asked him, what I could do for him, and he said, "Well, really, I'm just trying to get closer back to Nashville." And I'm like, "Well, look, I live in Smyrna. We'll go that way." And so, really, we didn't say much on the car ride back to Smyrna. And I asked him if he'd like some food, and so we stopped at I think it was an Arby's right there where across from Nissan. And we basically sat there in silence for pretty much most of the meal. And then he had no clue what I did. And at the time I was working for UBS, that was the guy on the back of your debit card, right? Like if you needed to PIN numbers or online access. And he asked me if I went to church. No, he asked me if I was a member of a church. And I said, "Well, I attend, but I'm not a member. I just got a lot of things going on in life right now, and it's complicated." And he said, "Well, do you believe in $1 million?" I said, "Well, yes, of course." And then the next question that you could probably guess is, "Have you ever touched $1 million or seen it?" I said, "No." And he followed it up with, "Well, how can you believe in something as simple as money and not believe that there was a God that created this earth?" And he literally picked up his tray and walked to the door and walked out. I'm like, so then I called Amanda, and her first question when she picks up the phone is, "Why aren't you in class?" I'm like, what does that matter? And so from then on, I've had a real passion for the homeless ministry, and so I help out here at Parkway with Room in the Inn, which basically takes in 12 guys every week, starting in November. Give them a place to stay, clothes. And I guess that kind of reverts back to this too, because what you give somebody, you always worry what they're going to do with it. If you give them new clothes, are they going to go sell it? Or if you give them money, are they, do they not need it anyway, and they're just going to go to the liquor store? And me and Amanda, our heart has really been torn from that of like, we're answering and being obedient to God to give. What they do with it is on them. And so that's very similar to this parable, and that's why it means a lot to me.
Sure. I've always, before you get to your, if you give somebody $5 on the street corner, after you give it to them, that's a gift. Mm-hmm. So when as soon as that person takes it, it's out of your hands. You've given that gift, right. And it's whatever that person does with that $5 or $10 or whatever it is.
They'll answer that later.
They'll have to, if they want to go buy food, great. If they go to buy a fifth of whiskey with it, then that's what they do with it. But it's a gift. You've gave it to them, and that's out of Zach's hands. And so,
and I started small. Like I used to make sure that I wanted to if they needed food, why don't you get in and I'll go and get it, or I'll go get the food and bring it back to you. And a lot of them would say no; they'd be real hesitant to that. And so now, I just don't let it bother me. I give what I'm called to give or what's available, and I don't question what they do with it.
Yeah.
On the way over here, there was a guy and his kid that was probably, I'm going to guess 7 to 8, just sitting there, and he was reading a book, and his dad's got a sign that says, father, son that's homeless, and right there, the Cookout and Taco Bell, and gave him $5. Like it's not enough for both of them, but that's what I had on me, and I just felt like, it's something, you could do something. And what they do with it, I don't know. But every little bit helps, and I don't know them. And this is not a, brag on Zach here. I just use that story as a furtherment of my testimony of like what it means to me. And for some reason, it's much easier for me to give to people I don't know. I don't know why that is. It's like getting off on Russell's weird tangents that he was talking about. For some reason, I put my family and friends, and then people that I don't know, and I do the same thing about talking about Jesus. Like it's much easier for me for some reason to share the gospel with somebody I don't know versus friends and family. And I still don't know. Maybe it's because they know as much as I do, and they can combat things, or fear of rejection, or I don't know what it is. But when I go on mission trips or things, it's so easy.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
I think it is it's a spiritual thing, and maybe the Holy Spirit coming to you when you need it, when you're not leaning on your own understanding. But I think a huge part of it too is fear of rejection from people we care about.
Yeah.
I see
and your friends and family, I'm going to see them again. Yeah. And if they decide not to trust in God, and I'm sharing with them, what are they going to think of me the next time I see them?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about our family members that we have come to our house that they know our faith, and other family members share that same faith. But, when they come over, they know we're going to pray before we eat. They know we're just going to do certain things around Christmas, read the Christmas story, and they still come. But for some reason, we don't have we don't do those same things in their house. And I don't initiate it. So shame on Zach, right? It's just, for some reason, it's just harder with friends and family. I don't.
Yeah. Did you ever see that guy again?
Never saw him again.
Never saw him again.
For me, that was like I don't know, like an aha moment of like, Zach, there are going to be things that you can't that you can't explain, that you can't understand, and for him to use that guy now in my life to now know that I can give back, and that's why this one really resonated with me. Y'all's two were first two, to be honest, but this one is right there with it. But when you start thinking about how there were two guys that passed this guy that had been beaten and robbed, and then we think that this was a Jewish man, that then the Samaritan stopped by, and what they were at odds anyway,
right?
And he still stopped to heal him, bring him back food. It's just, I don't know. That one to me is another representation of how we should love our neighbor. And then, I've got all types of scripture where it quotes, I don't care if it's Leviticus, Romans, James, of how you should love your neighbor. Yeah. And a neighbor is somebody you don't know. You can get to know them, but I don't know. That one for me was just, it just comes natural, I guess, for me to be able to help.
Good stuff.
Something you guys touched on a little bit. Dave Ramsey, Zach and Dave agree on everything financial.
Oh boy! Boy,
that's a joke, by the way.
I was going to say, hang on.
They are both in the financial world, but they do not agree on everything.
No, they don't.
One thing I heard Dave Ramsey say was talking about giving money, and he was talking about giving it to a family member. Some I'm sure it was his call-in show or something, but somebody was talking about that, and he said, "Look, if it's at all possible, make it a gift." He said, if you loan them money, you have a wedge between you.
Yes.
If you go to their house for Thanksgiving, you're thinking about, I loaned this dude $100, whatever it doesn't matter the amount, right? He hadn't paid me my money back. He's like,
exactly.
Your attitude's going to be poor. if at all possible, make it a gift and you write it off.
That's it.
It's gone out of my life.
My dad told me from an early age, like, if you ever loan friends and family money, he's like, just chalk it up as a gift.
Yeah.
And if you get it back, it's a happy surprise. But like, don't go into it thinking like, oh, this is a loan, and then you're going to harbor feelings every time you see them. And
it's not good.
It's just tough.
Yeah, I agree.
I had a family. This was many years ago. A family member, close family, asked for a loan, and they, hey, times are tight. I need to pay the bills. Blah blah. All the same. And I believe it was. I don't believe they were spinning a yarn or anything. But
Right.
I talked to Christy. I was married at the time. Talked to Christy, and can we do this? All this kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to give it to them. It's not going to be a loan. And she was fine with it. So I did, and I told them, don't pay this back. It's a gift. But it's because I had heard that on Dave Ramsey, because I wouldn't have done that of my own, like we're not taught that really by the world. It's, pay me back what I'm going to, but.
You would think that would be the easiest people to get money back from.
You would think.
But that's not necessarily the case.
But for me, like,
not at all.
once I did that, and it really in my own mind, I'm like, it's a gift. It's gone. Like,
checked out. Yep.
As soon as I said, they lived out of town. So what is it? Western Union? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I dropped it off there.
See how long ago that was?
I was
no more PayPal, Apple Pay, none of that.
No,
Venmo.
Yeah.
This was
Western's
before
running
that.
around.
This was before that technology. But
Still in Kroger's, I think.
Yeah. But
Dodger's
once I'll make a serious point here, fellas.
Sorry.
Yeah. But for me, I wrote it off in my own mind, right? Yeah. And that I carried that with me. I mean, I never thought about it again, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm sure if it wouldn't have been that way, if it would have been a repayment loan, every time I got a phone call or saw that person, it was going to be like, hey, man, can I get 20 back? Can we go on the layaway system or something?
Yeah, exactly. But I was sort of debating on. I had these two picked out also, to be honest with you, and
I guess Zach referenced that you might have pieced it together if you're listening. So in the text conversation for tonight's episode, it was pretty much the first one to respond back got to pick their parable. So that's kind of what's been referenced of you stole my parable or whatever the case is.
Right.
I believe I was the last one to this party though, so.
You were the last
confirmed
one.
yet. My text message was Zach hadn't confirmed yet, so you get to choose. I said okay.
Yeah, and I did go last. I let everybody else
true.
That's true. But anyway, sorry, that's background information.
Yes.
We like to be transparent.
That's right. So I chose the lost sheep, and if you think about this parable, sort of the background for the parable, Jesus was eating with sinners. And with the tax collectors and sinners, and they were all sort of in a big group, so to speak. And I'll read the scripture if we're going to read that. But they were talking about that he's a man that receives sinners and eats with them. And the Pharisees, they didn't like that at all. They thought that was kind of crazy that he was not eating with the rulers of the day or the high class people, or this guy right here says the important people, so they didn't really like that at all. So I'm going to read mine. That's sort of the way I sort of want to do it. So this is going to be from Luke 15, and we'll start in verse 3 through 7. So it says, so Jesus told them this parable: what man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after that one that is lost until he finds it? And when that man who lost the sheep has found it, he lays his sheep on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when the man comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. So, as the shepherd, as I was, reading this and what I thought about before is the shepherd, the shepherd is extremely important to the sheep. Sheep
Are not smart
not
animals.
smart animals, not at all. And so they need this shepherd to be able to. The shepherd protects them. He feeds them. He gives them water, and the shepherd counts his sheep. So he knows everything that's going on in these sheep's lives. I mean, that's the way I sort of put it. And so he takes care of them, and the shepherd and the sheep are completely. They're relying on the shepherd to take care of them. They have no other way to do it. So, so when one of the sheep gets lost and goes on, he wanders off. The shepherd, if you think about it, he leaves the 99 in a very vulnerable position because anything could be going on with this, and so he sort of leaves. He does leave them sort of in a risky situation, and he goes after this one sheep. All of the sheep, all 100 of those sheep were priceless to the shepherd. But when one leaves, he goes and finds it because that sheep is in the most danger. He's the most vulnerable, and he is lost. And so when he goes after him, he keeps what I found. And when I was reading that last night, sort of looking at this, I sort of forgot the point of this is that he did not quit. He went until he found the sheep. He didn't stop. And so I sort of forgot about that, and so, he doesn't give up. He completely finds that sheep, and he doesn't stop until he finds it. And then instead of, I started thinking about this too, and I thought about this earlier when we studied this in some Bible studies is he doesn't make the sheep walk back. Picks that joker up, puts him on his shoulders, and carries him. And so, and we don't know, that sheep could have been completely tired and all this other stuff, but that sheep is, he puts him on his shoulders and he carries him back. He could have been tired, he could have been injured. We don't know the answer to that question, but he picks him up and carries him. And then when they get back, they throw a party for him. And so, who is our one person? Who is our person that we need to go after? And when it sort of leaves the the flock there, who is our one person? And I always think about during upward season that of course I'm going to throw an upward thing in here that we do all this work and it's just sometimes it's completely tiring. But if there's one person that accepts Christ, it's all worth it. If it's just one person. So, that's why I sort of chose this one, as far as this parable, this parable of the lost sheep, because, we need to be after that one person. So, sort of some things I want to leave you with. It says, what about our attitude toward our fellow sheep? We should act with God's heart to seek the lost, not give up on anyone, keep looking, keep praying for others. God throws nobody away. God loves everyone. He seeks out everyone and everybody one by one. So that's why I sort of chose this parable. So
something to me that is, all these parables really are simple stories, but they're so profound and so deep in, the things we learn, the messages they carry. It's kind of crazy how just a little simple story is they're all that deep. But when you were talking, something that struck me, of course we all know, Jesus is chasing after us. We're the one that wanders away, but how not smart we are. We think we're the masters of our own environment, and I want to go this way, I'm going this way. Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, and just like we don't know what's around us. We think we do. We think we're got all this figured out, but there's so much danger and so much just unknown around us.
Sure.
I think we can all look back in our lives and think, thank God for unanswered prayers is like this old country song. And you think about, I want this, I'm praying for this. Well, then you look back and say, I'm glad I didn't get that because God had me on a different path here. And so, it's just neat to think about some of the things that we want to try to control, and God knows better. He's got a different plan.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Fano, you want next, or you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I'll go. So mine was the prodigal son. So it's just for me, it's just a story of grace, and for me, it's just the decisions that I've made when I was still am a knucklehead, but I'm just
Are we
so
talking
thankful.
about selling books?
I'm probably a little worse than that, probably, but I was I'm just thankful for God's grace. So
Amen.
I'll start by reading it. A little lengthy, but it's so good. I couldn't cut anything out. So I'm going to start in Luke 15. I'll go 11 through 32. So starts, he also said, a man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the estate I have coming to me." So he distributed the assets to them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered together all he had and traveled to a distant country, where he squandered his estate in foolish living. After he had spent everything, a severe famine struck that country, and he had nothing. Then he went to work for one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. He longed to eat his fill from the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one would give him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired workers have more than enough food, and here I am dying of hunger? I'll get up, go to my father, and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired workers.' So he got up, went to his father, but while the son was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father told his servants, 'Quick, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Then bring the fattened calf and slaughter it, and let's celebrate with a feast. Because this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he summoned one of the servants, questioning what these things meant. 'Your brother is here,' he told him, 'and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' Then he became angry and didn't want to go in. So his father came out and pleaded with him. But he replied to his father, 'Look, I've been slaving many years for you, and I've never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me a goat so that I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your assets with prostitutes, you slaughtered the fattened calf for him. Son,' he said to him, 'you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.'"
Mm-hmm.
So just this, so many good things in here. I could have written about this one forever, but story, obviously Luke wrote this, a lot of details in this story. But the first thing that I wrote was just the father's love for both of his sons. And there was a little bit that we talk about on this podcast, that there's little things that you've read 1,000 times and something new comes out. So
Yep.
Younger son comes, asks for everything is owed to him. So that's, first off, that's a huge sign of disrespect, because you get an inheritance when someone
When it's time,
dies.
yeah.
Someone dies. So he wants his. So what I didn't capture was that the father gave it, then both of them. He gave it to the older son and the younger son. So I was that just jumped out at me, that I just assumed that it was the younger son, but he gave them both their inheritance and everything. So, something
about really all the parables too, like, how good they are and simple but deep, but too how much they just like pierce straight to the heart of, ooh, I can see myself doing that same thing right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Completely. So,
And we all have kids, right? So to think about like them going astray and coming back, and how happy we would be that the one come back. I mean,
Right.
it really resonates.
Right.
what they're going through.
Yeah. He goes off, squanders the money and everything, and then he was a Jewish man, so the only job that he found was taking care of unclean pigs. So that shows how desperate, low he was. I mean, just how desperate he was to get that kind of job. And then,
I mean, and it, whoever owned those pigs or was using those pigs for a purpose, that person would be below this guy, right? In normal standards.
Completely.
And he's not even coming down to his level.
Yeah.
He's going a level lower than that.
Yeah, and that's just how desperate he was. And then his way of thinking is that he's not getting any food. He's working. He can't even eat the food that the pigs are. So he wants to not only go back to his dad, but just go back and get hired on as a worker for his father just so he could eat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean,
you think of the humility and the pride that you've got to,
goodness.
because, you could go to a lot of friends, right? But to go back to your father for some reason, that's just so hard to admit. It's like admitting defeat to go crawling back.
After all he's done, after what you just gave me. And
we don't have a time frame here, but this was not, he went out on a weekend bender.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For him to fall that low in the status chain,
he
was gone a while. Right.
And that I didn't find in my Bible, but I mean, there was references to it was 100 days.
Okay.
So I can't verify that, but that's just one of the things that I read through. It said that it was 100 days. So
if we had that call-in feature, it would just be lighting up right now.
there you go. It would be off
blind
the chain.
call-in.
So,
I was hoping y'all were talking about sports.
You know how long the prodigal son was out?
yes. And he knew of the godly expectations, because in verse 21 he references, he says, the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and in your sight I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. So he knew between right and wrong. And just reading through this story, the focus is always on the younger son. Mm-hmm. But Jesus wanted the focus to be on the older son, because he was talking to the Pharisees and the scribes, and for their lack of compassion for the lost was what he wanted them to zero in on the older brother. So I thought that was good. And just it said, just in the narrative, it says, sometimes our eyes have to be opened by a tremendous fall. And that's been true in my life. I mean, just you go along, you go through life, but something has to shake you. Unfortunately, it shouldn't have to take a tremendous fall or something that happens to us to follow God, and not think that, just like we were saying earlier, that I can do it all on my own and everything. So,
we're talking about the older son. A lot of times too, we think we're doing everything right.
Right.
Dude, I'm walking the path I'm supposed to be on. I'm A, B, C, D. I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, yeah, but you can do more.
No.
Right.
Or you think you're doing it all. Your heart's not in the right place. Your mind's not in the right place.
Right. And the dad's forgiveness too. I mean, it's not like when he came back and said he wasn't worthy of being his son, it's not like his dad said, well, come on inside, I'm going to sleep on it. We'll talk about it in the morning. Like immediately, hey, get him a robe, put a ring on his finger, give him some sandals.
Let's have a meal.
Crank up the music. Let's go. So, I mean, it just shows I wrote at the end, this is just a story of forgiveness and restoration.
Yeah.
So this is just really good. And I think Brother Matt had mentioned it, that just speaking about the lost, is that our ministry is not for just our circle of Christians. And I think I myself am guilty of it. I minister to, people that are going to church and friends that are Christians, but I just most times leave out those that are lost. So it just, and that's the importance of this story, and that just speaks to me.
Well, we talk about this, too.
No.
Just to hit on that same point of this podcast.
Right.
Who's our audience? Who are we trying to reach? Are we just, is this something for us and our church and we're going to listen to and enjoy? Is this something that we're trying to, and that's, it causes strife, and strife may be too harsh a word, but maybe internal strife or something like all of that strife, whatever you call it, friction.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. Don't mishear me on this. If we're not getting in arguments for the most part, but
over this podcast.
You're right, exactly.
But it's all Satan trying to tear down something that is good, right?
Absolutely,
For sure.
And the answer is it really doesn't matter if it's coming to us at one church or it's going to a city or a country worldwide, right? The word of God should go out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Satan trying to tear down godly works.
Yeah.
Fawn, I'm glad you mentioned about the father. He didn't have to sleep on it or because I firmly believe in this parable here that the father had been praying for this son.
Right.
If he hadn't been praying for this son, then I think he would have said, "Hey, I'm going to sleep on this,
right,
and I'll get back with you in the morning." No, whenever he saw that, whenever his son came, he immediately. So he'd been praying for this, and then
answered the prayer,
the prayer, and so he didn't wait.
Right.
He immediately, all right, we're throwing a party. This kid, and so I firmly believe that the father here was praying for this son, and whenever he saw him, it was game on. We're having a party, so.
And he was on the lookout.
That was going to be my next part.
He was looking for the answer for that.
Right.
He didn't. Yeah. The son didn't walk up behind him and tap him on the shoulder.
No, he saw him. So I mean, and whatever.
Yeah.
Feel free to comment if you know the exact time frame, but 100 days. I mean, that's a long time to be. I mean, I know it's his son, but that's a long time to be just looking. But that's the coolest part is that he was far away and his dad saw him.
Yeah, I mean without going into any details, I can think of 2 instances here at Parkway that this has happened, and the father has accepted their son back into the family with open arms, and like I said, I can think of 2 instances. There's obviously more, but 2 instances right off the top of my head that the father has accepted the son back into the family, no questions asked.
Right.
And I know that these 2 fathers were praying for these 2 sons, and so no questions asked, these 2 fathers, and so that's what I mean. That's good.
And you think about
stuff.
Like when they were younger, they were obviously raised up. Train up a child in the way he should go, so they will not depart from you.
Right.
You think about that kid knew he was in the wrong,
right?
And then he come back, and so what's the witness for the dad? Right, like if I'm not willing to forgive and show mercy that I've been given, what's the example set for the other child? Right. So the whole story is great.
It's great. And then the older's reaction and how the dad handles that, saying that you'll always be mine. I mean, it's just a great. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's my turn, and I went with the parable of the talents because it's a couple lessons, couple notes, couple ideas we're going to hit on here. You can find this Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 through 30, and I'll paraphrase a little bit here of the story. But you had a master, and he was going on a trip, so he gave 3 servants some money to look after. So the first one, he gave 5 talents, and 5 talents, what is that? Well, I'm glad you asked because I got a footnote right here that'll answer that.
That's right.
A talent, of course, is a monetary unit, but it was about 20 years' wages for a laborer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So 20 years' wages for a laborer. He's not giving him $5 here. He's passing on some change.
Yeah.
So 3 servants. The first one he gives 5 talents. The second one he gives 2 talents, and the last one he gives a single talent. Still a lot to look over and be responsible for. Well, the first guy, he goes out, does some business, does some trading, all that kind of stuff, doubles the money. Comes back with 10. The second guy, same thing, goes out, invests it, does some work with it, all that kind of stuff, comes back, doubles his money, comes back with 4. Well, the last guy, he's like, I'm going to go hide this bad boy because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to mess up, right? So I'm going to stick my head in the sand, bury this money, make sure nothing happens to it. So I'm going to be even when the boss comes back. And, if you know the story, the boss comes back and he's happy with the first 2. The last one comes up and he's like, look, you should have at least, I'm a businessman here. Mm-hmm. You should have at least put it in the bank, get some interest off of it. So I'm getting something when I come back, but I'm going to take what I gave you and I'm giving it to the other guys. And I mean, to me, like, it's so crazy that, you can see yourself kind of in each one of the characters of the story, right? But for sure. How easy is it for me? Okay, well, I just don't want to mess this up. So I know I've been given gifts and I got this responsibility, but I'm just going to sit here and hold it tight. And really, kind of like we talked about earlier, I'm just going to stay in my little circle. I'm not going out anywhere. I'm not doing anything crazy. Stay right here in the middle of this flock of sheep and, keep with the status quo. But that's not what we're called to do. We are called to take the gifts we're given and go out and invest in people and share that good news, share that wealth, because, I mean, it's an innumerable gift, right? We can never put value on the gift of salvation that we're given. And we're not called to hold that to ourselves. And, there's no number. We don't have to double it. We don't have to triple it. But we don't know how is God going to use our work? And we can't quantify that. We can't imagine that either of he's going to take our little feeble efforts and multiply that in a godly way that the math isn't even going to make sense, right?
I mean, we sit here and talk about, and every one of ours was, if we just found one. Right, if we all just did one, and then they did one, like the math would work out immensely, but we don't think of that. We don't even take the first step to do the one. That's
true.
You just live and you want to be comfortable, and we're called to be uncomfortable. That's how we should live. I mean, and I choose comfort a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, but. That's just not what we're called to do.
I'll read this. This is after the master had come back and was getting a report from the servants. The guy that had the 5 took it back to him, took the other 5 back, and the master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master." And he said the same thing to the servant who had the 2 talents. To us, 20 years. So the first guy had 100 years worth of wages that he was responsible for. And the master.
That's Zach money right there.
Yeah. Oh, my.
I thought you were going to have him check my math.
No.
We're going to skip over the math facts of that.
Not me.
That's Zach money
y'all, you got Shank's eye care over here.
Sorry.
Didn't he say last week that he was like part of some country club? And
hang on. He was born into the country club.
That's even worse.
Thank you.
Ran up like a $30,000 tab or something like that.
That's Papa Fred, not Brandon. I might see some of that eventually.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, we were talking about inheritance. Yeah. It's going to funnel down.
I don't want to see it anytime soon, but I will get there eventually. Maybe.
Brandon was over there making notes. You mean I can ask for this early?
No, I didn't. Oh, boy.
Anyway, back to this 100 years worth of wages. But, the master comes back. He's like, you were responsible for a little bit. Now I'm going to put a lot on you. And this dude had 100 years worth of wages, and that's a little bit, right? Because the master has a different perspective. Like we were talking about the sheep, he has a different view. He can see things we can't see, and he's like, "Well, now you did good with that. Let me give you some more." Right? Building up that trust factor, just like we do with our own families, our own kids, our own relationships. The people we trust. Well, I'm going to give him more, him or her more, because I trust that they're going to do the right thing with what they're given. So, but the last guy, we gave some good news. Might as well get to the bad news.
Yeah.
When he gets around to the third guy, he says, the master answered him, "You wicked and slothful servant." Slothful.
Wow.
Talk
Slothful.
about being lazy and comfortable. That's a powerful word right
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sowed and gather where I scattered no seed. You ought to have invested the money with the bankers. And so I receive what was my own plus interest. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given, and he will have an abundance. But the one who has not, even what he has, will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. So, I mean, that is...
I've always wondered. Well, I wonder what the third servant was thinking when they were giving these reports. I wonder if he was like, "Oh boy," or he might not have known any better. He'd be like, "Well, this is."
I think
good.
if they were all three standing next to each other doing their report, right? I think it would have been the uh-oh.
I would think
boy.
so.
But-
I would have been. I've been like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
Now this guy might have.
I think leading up to that moment, though, of course, we're just trying to put ourselves in this situation.
Right.
They've been like, "I'm good. I lost nothing."
Nothing. And that's what I was going to say, because I think about
I'm good.
my job and clients and their money, and I think about, well, it's great that he doubled his money. He took the risk. It's great that he, got 10 times. He took the risk. I didn't take no risk. I lost nothing. So you should be happy.
Yeah, right. No,
Comfort.
exactly
It's that
right.
comfort, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see. I mean, somewhere in that point, there comes the uh-oh moment of I thought I was doing good.
Yeah.
Right.
You would have been feeling really good if the first one lost half of his.
Oh, yeah.
yes, I'm looking good now.
Yeah.
But that goes back to what we said earlier too about we think we're doing right, doing all this. Like,
That's right.
we may not be. We need to really be focused on what is God's will for us, not as what our will. What do we think is right? What do we think is safe? We may be getting cast out into the darkness, and that to me, that's hammering home a scary point.
Yeah.
Of what if we go through our entire lives thinking we're doing right, and then we stand before God and He's like, "You had it entirely wrong the whole time." I mean, to me, that is, I don't know anything else more scary than that, to be honest.
There's not.
There's not.
There's
You know
not.
what I mean? Like,
There's not.
so, I mean, that kind of puts it in
Well,
perspective.
There's people out there that think that. I mean, let's just be honest. That think that they're doing everything right, and they're thinking they have the slightest clue what.
Yeah, I think we all know good people, right? They would give you the shirt off their back. They would do this, but not knowing, when you're up there and having to hear that and say, you're expecting well done, good and faithful servant, and you hear you did not know me.
Right.
But I mean, to hammer it home more, I think there are people who would say they are Christians who are in the church who are still think they're doing right and are not.
100%.
Whether they know it deep down inside or not,
Right.
they are deceiving themselves. And that it's not just the sinners that we're talking. It's
Right.
and that's what's scary because Satan can trick us into that.
Because Satan's a punk.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
He's busy.
He's prowling.
He's busy. For sure.
So,
But
That's good, man.
yeah,
This
we
was-
just
this-
a couple.
This was good, man.
It was very good. Yeah.
You said at the beginning that it might not be our favorite, man. This was a good one, dude.
Did I say that? I don't know. If I said that, I'm sorry. This is
no,
This is good
But-
stuff,
good
man.
stuff.
Man,
It
it's-
is.
This is great.
it's kind of, if you listen, for those of you that do listen to this podcast regularly, we're always kind of hesitant maybe. We know this is recorded and we can cut any of it out, but we still kind of guard our speech a little bit and, because we don't want to say something just totally crazy wrong. But, we try to be just relaxed and like we're hanging out in the living room talking, and sometimes it's easy when Russell is telling stories, but we want to spread truth, share truth, share ideas of, man, I haven't thought of that parable like that before.
Yeah.
Heard it 100 times, but
Yeah.
man, I picked up a new point today. So, we hope that comes across. We just want to be genuine, and we try and say the good things and the bad things in our own lives and in the stories we tell. And in the Bible stories, we're trying to learn better, even though we've heard them 100 times. So
Yeah, that's true.
we do it for you all. Yeah, there we go. Speech impediments and all. We bring it all to you.
That's true.
Last episode, Fano was here last episode. I made up about 3 or 4 different words.
You did.
Yeah, I was making up words left and right.
Do you have a producer in the house?
No, we didn't.
We did not. That was a nerve-wracking one with the moms.
So we had 3 moms in here.
It was some heavy hitters.
I
Can't
kind
wait to watch it.
Yeah, it was. We were.
Yeah, I don't know.
Buttoned up and
Yeah.
everything. It was tense.
And part of the problem was
Tense.
we had a little different arrangement with the ladies in here, and so I was sitting where Fano is, and Fano was scrunched between me and Dana, and so I was trying to give him his bubble space and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, the moms, you don't want to mess up in front of mom.
No,
Even if it's not your mom, you don't want to mess up. I mean,
Call you to the mat.
yeah. Or just put the smack down on you, one or the other. So. But we're glad you guys are here. Hope you've enjoyed the last couple of episodes. Hope you enjoyed the next few episodes that are going to come out. Moms are coming out before this one, I guess. So hope you enjoyed the Moms episode. By the time you hear this one, you would have heard that one, hopefully. But got some guests coming back. Hopefully we don't get stood up again. If we do, then stay tuned for a great roasting episode.
Because it's going to be on.
Yeah. Russell he was in great form last time. We're going to get him gassed up if we have to do it.
He'll be in rare form then.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up like we always do with the Bible verse. This is from Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. So we brought a little bit of that today, and we talked about it of, we need to be seeking God and his plan, not what we think is right, not what we think is good, but what he does. And only way you can do that, be in his word all the time and let him decide and show you what is right. So,
yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you guys again, guys and gals, right here on GPS to God next week.
Go Vols.
3-0 coming up. 3-0. Carter was in the homecoming court yesterday.
He's still kicking?
Not with a broken wrist. He's on the bench.
Oh, really?
But
This happened in a game, or I don't know.
It happened in practice.
Oh, in practice. We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
A lot of stuff happens in practice.
Yeah.
We hope you're enjoying GPS to God. Rate, review, and subscribe across every platform you use. Help us spread the word by telling your friends and family to watch, listen, and subscribe.